One, two, three, the long feed.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lawn Feed podcast. Thank you as always for listening, watching, wherever you're catching us. Hopefully you are mowing the lawn, laying laser beams, and having fun out there because it is the middle of the season. We are in the thick of it. It is hot. We're feeling it. But we've got some really cool things to talk about today because when we're feeling it, we know that the hot summer peak and these temperatures are about to come down into fall, and we know exactly what that is going to mean. But first, we want to have you guys check out our website after this episode for premium tees, other apparel that's guaranteed to make your grass seed that you're going to get later on for this fall germinate in the same exact amount of time that it takes it to normally germinate. But you will look good doing it. You will feel good doing it because it's airy. It breathes very, very good, especially in this hot, humid weather. I don't know about you, Vince, but
I think sign me up for one of them t-shirts. That kind of guarantee? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Slap it on the label. But before we get into all of the reno talk, we have to talk about dads, wins, and losses. So, Vince, my man, talk to us about some wins and losses on your end.
I have some wins and losses, and I feel like this is a topic that keeps coming back up on our podcast, and it's potty training. So I'm a novice to potty training. My wife read a book on it and was like, hey, this is how we have to do it. I said, nah, that'll be fine. Good thing we went with her method. Long story short, we did a weekend where you basically just watch them like hawk and no pants, just make sure they know where the potty is and you try and get them to go. They picked that up in a weekend and we have been golden. So that is a huge W. Huge W. Props to the girls.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So the loss is we went to the beach and it was like the first day and we're all hanging out in like the living room area and it's carpeted. And my one daughter just starts peeing. And my family member was like, she's peeing? I was like, oh no, like, I thought we knew. I thought you knew, like, you had to use the bathroom. And yeah, but there's new people, new place, and all that stuff. And so that was a little bit of a loss. But hey, for the most part, we have been accident free, and I cannot complain about that.
I was about to say, you take the wins over the losses on that one any day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, yeah, potty training's a fun one. It has come up a bunch of times on this podcast for worse or for better, primarily for the worse. But I feel like everyone listening is relating to that for sure. It's tough. It's tough. And I think that, I don't know if you guys have guys or boys or girls or whatever, but boys are something else. I feel like trying to get the dry diaper overnight, it takes forever. So
yeah, they still wear the diapers overnight, but
yeah, not quite there.
No,
that would be insane.
That would
be insane. So, well, you're ahead of the curve there. That's awesome. So, well, cool. Thank you for sharing that. We are going into a really cool part of the lawn care season, which is getting prepped for fall. If I didn't mention it already, we're talking about fall renovations for cool season grasses, cool season lawns. So this is going to primarily be catered to the cool season and transition zone. So we'll get to later on. But let's talk about what we really talk about what we really mean when we talk about renovations. That's a big word that can mean a lot of things depending on what we talk about. So Vince, what's your definition of it? Have you ever done one? Is there such thing as partial renovation, a full renovation? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it.
I would say a renovation, you can do a full renovation or you can do a partial renovation. A partial renovation is, say your lawn has less than 50% of weeds and you want to keep the original grass that's there. So you spray out the weeds, you do some heavy aerating, maybe some lawn leveling with some screen top soil, and then you put in the seed that you want to put down and water that in. So you're slowly adding in that new cultivar of seed over time. It's less labor intensive. It's a little bit easier um, on the time as well. It doesn't take as long because you're not killing off your entire grass. But then you also have the full renovation, which means you are taking glyphosate and you're killing off all of the grass. And we'll probably talk about this in a little bit and another episode a little bit deeper. But the main thing with that is you're killing off the grass. You usually spray 2 to 3 times. You're going to scalp it down, dethatch it, add some topsoil, aerate it if you'd like, loosen that up. And then you're planting a completely new grass seed or new variety, which we're going to talk about all different types of premium grass seeds that you can be putting down to make sure you do this right the first time. I personally have done a lot of renovations. When I first bought this house, my buddy was super into lawn care. I was not into lawn care at all at that point in the game. And he's like, hey, let's kill off your entire lawn, bring in 3 truckloads of topsoil, level it out, and put this grass seed down. I was like, sure.
Just a fun Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. I was like, let's do it. It was actually a wedding gift. That was a wedding gift from him. So I was looking
he
back.
He was doing it, or he was just saying we should do this? He
was helping me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was an awesome wedding gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, we killed everything off, put a new variety in, and, got to start fresh. I didn't have to try and battle the weeds in the fall. I didn't have to deal with any of the old like K31 or something in there. I just got to put whatever I wanted down and start fresh. So I don't know, Chris, have you done a full renovation yet?
I've never done a full where I've killed everything off. There's a section of my yard that I have killed off, but I haven't done the whole entire thing. I've primarily, I mean, it's about as close as you possibly can to a full one, but nothing where I've sprayed it. There's something about spraying and fully renovating where I'm just like, it's part of the environment that I'm like, okay, this probably isn't the best thing to do. But that's not to say that it's like out of the question. You know what I mean? So that's why I haven't done it. And partially it's a lot. I mean, it is a ton of work, right?
It is a ton of work. Yeah.
Cause you've gotten into that. I know that. And I've seen a ton of people where they're just, I mean, you got to sacrifice months, right? I mean, talk to us about that.
So my front lawn, I have a YouTube video that I did the full renovation with, and it's actually funny. At the very end, I was kind of like kneeling down, looking at the sprinklers, like, oh, we're done. Now we're done. Like, it's exhausting because at first you're like, okay, you scalp it down, you dethatch it, scalp it again, spray it. I mean, you're mowing and scalping several times to try and get that all out of there. But then you have all these clumps of grass in there that you got to get out as well, especially if you're not putting topsoil down on top of it. So best thing I found was using a dethatcher or a slit seeder and running it backwards. Talk about tillage. Running one of those backwards, you'll tear some ground up. And then you're taking a rake over it, and depending on how big it is, and if you don't have big equipment, it's a labor intensive process.
Yeah, no doubt it is.
So just that process alone, depending on how much time you have, could take you 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, that's after the glyphosate has killed everything. So speaking of full renovations, if you are doing that, make sure you're looking at, which we're going to get into this a little bit, but make sure you're looking at your last frost date. Because you want to have plenty of time for your grass seed to germinate and maybe mow 2 or 3 times before that first frost hits, or else you did a lot of work for not a lot of fruit.
Yeah. And that's highly dependent on your location, right? Because we were just talking about this before the show, where it's like, when's the last time that you would apply around a glyphosate? And you and I are probably a full month apart. I'm in Minnesota, you're in Pennsylvania, right? And that's just in the cool season zone. So then you get down south a little bit and more of the transition zone, the true transition zone, where it's like, okay, well, they got some more time, right? So just know that. And that's what you just said is, I think, really the kicker for deciding when to seed, when these projects are going to go down. It's a lot of reverse engineering from that date. But I think it starts to kind of just go into what makes a good candidate for a renovation, full or partial, right? Because I think our listeners are sitting there kind of seeking some help on, should I even do this? And the answer is, yeah, you should probably try it to some degree, because that's where you learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all about learning from failure, but also learning from the successes too. So what is a good candidate to renovate a lawn? If you're staring out at your lawn and you have more weeds in your lawn than grass, you are probably a good candidate, right? If you have multiple types of grass, in like actual types of grass, not weeds, but multiple types of grass that you have in your lawn, and it's just you're not feeling it, right? That would be a good one as well. So if you want a kind of an unfavorable grass type in your lawn, or you don't want that unfavorable grass type, it's probably a good candidate. Lawn leveling, I think, is a good one here too. I think this one gets left out a lot. It's not just because you have a bunch of weeds, or it's not just because you have an unfavorable grass type, but maybe you just have a lawn that, and it literally feels like you're mowing the lawn in the middle of an earthquake, right? And you want to just have a smooth, level lawn. Well, a lot of the times you're going to have to bring in immense amount of topsoil or whatever leveling component that you want for your lawn to even get it to where you want. Well, you're probably starting over again, right? To most of that degree. So there's a lot of things to consider, but if you just have for lack of a better term, shitty lawn, we're probably ready to start considering at minimum a partial renovation, whether that be by overseed or a full renovation.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, like, it's going to suck for a month and a half of all the work that you have to put into it. But if you want a nice lawn and you want it done right, and you don't want any of the other seed, you want high premium grass seed only in your lawn, then just do it once.
Yep.
Do it once, kill everything off. If it doesn't come in thick, that's fine. You can overseed, aerate, and overseed later, but at least you know that you got rid of the stand that you don't want, and you have the grass seed and then you have the grass that you want in there now.
Yeah, there's no doubt that that's the right approach, is do it right the first time, and do the full reno. It's a lot of work. Just know what you're getting into, set yourself up with expectations, and go from there. It's by and large the right way to do it.
And tag us in it. Send us emails with pictures or videos. We want to see these. It's
so rewarding seeing before and afters of just like, we throw out a tip or two here or whatever, and like that, like we're just throwing them out because that's what we do. But people are like responding and like, man, it's been awesome. Like, and then they send a before and after. And it's like, man, this is actually purposeful and meaningful. Like, this is like, well, you just transformed your brand new house because of the lawn that you just redid down.
Welcome to the rabbit hole.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And it's one of the most rewarding things on the planet, because once you do it, every single time a neighbor passes, they will walk by and they will compliment you if you do it right. And it's amazing. And it feels like a carpet under your bare foot.
Or if you're like me, you'll do it right, and then you'll do it again, and then again. And your neighbor's like, why are you killing your grass off now? It's perfectly fine. Well, I just didn't like the color of it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, you're insane.
High maintenance Vince over here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Exactly. So obviously we're really like boasting this whole thing up. Like, holy smokes, this is going to be a lot of work. These are the things to consider. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Okay, give me some reasons why we should. Well, it's going to pay off in the long run, right? I think, Vince, you hit the nail on the head with that. Like, do it right the first time. Know your situation. Every lawn is going to be different. But there is not a single project, regardless of the intensity, that goes into one of these things without having a plan. The ones that people regret doing, they didn't think it was worth it. They thought it was a complete failure, went into it without a plan, or they took shortcuts. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just how it that is just how it goes. And that's coming from someone who has done those things, not have a plan, take shortcuts, and expect a different result, right? I think the first thing that you need to figure out is, where are you? Okay. What's your location? Like physically, state, city, state, where are you? What zone are you in? Up north, we've got the cool season zones. Middle of the country, laterally or vertically, excuse me, we have the transition zones. And then down south, we have the warm season zones. Okay. All of those are going to have different seeding times, which means different quote unquote frost dates that Vince mentioned earlier, and different times where you could complete these projects in different active growing seasons for these grasses. The other thing that you're really going to want to know is your square footage of your lawn, right? Because that's gonna basically pinpoint how much topsoil you need, how much time it's going to take you, how much seed you need, how much fertilizer, how much, all of the things you need, right, to kind of budget this thing out. And we want to do this early. The last thing you want to do is rush into this thing. You know that you have this slotted out for next weekend to go do, and you don't have any of your product. Well, you're going to want to get all of that and have it ready and on hand for when you start. And then research some of the equipment. You don't need to go necessarily buy all of these things that Vince was talking about earlier. Locally, go find an equipment rental place and go do it that way. Use your connections on, if someone has it, down the road or something like that, like a dethatcher or even a core aerator or something of that nature. Go ask and leverage those things. It doesn't and shouldn't ever cost an exorbitant amount of money to go do some of these things. The tools are out there.
Pretty cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. The tools are out there to go purchase if you want that. And if you're going to do this for, multiple on ends, like if you do this multiple times, but if this is like a one and done, like we're kind of recommending you do, you can go rent this out for pretty inexpensive, right?
But one thing that you should put some money towards is grass seed, which is the whole point of the renovation. What you're putting in your lawn is basically going to be there for as long as you're going to be there. So if you look at renting equipment, you're spending a couple $100. If you're looking at fertilizer, you spend a couple $100 a year. If you look at a new car, you're going to spend money on a nice new car. The same thing goes with grass seed. It might seem like expensive, like an expensive purchase when you're buying premium grass seed at $4 a pound or whatnot. But that's going to be the grass seed that you're taking care of for as long as you're living there. So why is expensive grass seed expensive, Chris?
Well, it's expensive because of what goes into it, right?
So what goes into it? So there's different things that you can put in grass seed.
Oh yeah.
What should you? What should be in grass seed?
Grass seed is what should be in grass seed. That is the most simplistic answer. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different analogies that you can use, but if you haven't done this already, walk into any of the big box stores and just go pick it, just really anywhere. It doesn't have to be at a big box store, but anywhere you find grass seed. Grass seed has labels very similar to like any food and nutritional like food item has like nutritional facts on the side of it, telling you exactly what's supposed to be in that box or in that bag. Well, it's the same with grass seed. There's a label on the back of it telling you exactly how much and the contents of that bag, percentage wise, is by weight grass seed and what is other stuff. Much like many things out there, there's fillers that can be put in there. There is coating that can be put in there. There's this, what is called inert matter, which is by definition, things that will not germinate. But high level, that's what it means. So upwards, of 50% of some of these bags are filled with inert matter, which are things like fertilizers, mulch, all of those different things to quote unquote retain water and help the new seeds germinate and all of those different things. But then the price of what is included in that bag, well, you're getting ripped off in most cases, right? If you go buy a 50-pound bag of grass seed, that's 50% of inert matter and not actual grass seed. Well, that's only going to get you so far. Whereas if you go and get a 50-pound bag of grass seed that's pure grass seed and 100% or 99.9% grass seed, well, you're going to get more germination. You're going to get more actual results from that, for your yard. In theory, is how that's going to work. So you just have to be really careful about that. I've run into countless people who have come to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this grass seed? I just seeded my lawn last weekend with it, and it was filled with just garbage." And then I'm like, no, that's probably not gonna get you what you want. It's good in some cases. It's good for like patching up small holes, right? It's like the Band-Aid approach, but it's not good for like a full renovation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good for an overseed necessarily. So you got to find the right grass seed for the right thing based upon what your goals are, what your local environment is all about, and honestly, what matches your lifestyle. All right, some grasses are going to be more high maintenance than others, and it's just a matter of how much you want to take care of your lawn. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that can go into grass seed that people don't know about, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely. And I'm just sitting here pulling up a couple grass seeds right now. And one that so Chris has a guide actually. And if you haven't taken a look at that, we'll link it in the bio. It's completely free, goes over all the different types of grass seeds for your zone, your region, your goals. It's super resourceful. So go take a look at that. But one of the like, I call this sissy grass just because it's super durable. If you want good color, if you want good drought tolerance, etc., turf type tall fescue. Turf type tall fescue is
your sissy grass.
That's what I call sissy grass.
Yeah.
So looking at Twin City Seed on their website right now, one that I used this spring actually for an overseed in like a pretty shaded area was a tough turf, and for a 50-pound bag, it's only $214. And then Resilience, which is the elite blend, and these are blue tag, which means there's no crop, there's no weed seed. It's pure. It's best of the best, high cultivars in all of it, and that's only $202 for a 50-pound bag. Go compare that to some of these other seeds that you'll buy at a big box store, and I mean, it's not comparable. It's not apples to apples. So do some research. Check out that guide. It could be a big help for you. And we're here for questions, so feel free to DM us, and we'll help you as much as we can with that. Because choosing your seed is important.
So I think one of the big things that you just said there is compare the two. And to the naked eye, the biggest thing that's going to pop out is the price difference, right? The elite seed is going to be more expensive. The big box stores and everything that we just mentioned is going to be way cheaper and more attractive for the naked eye. Flip the bag around, figure out what's in the label, and then do the math on that of how much actual seed and germination is going to be covered with inside of your project area that you're going to do. You're going to be saving money on the more expensive seed, almost guaranteed in probably 90% of the scenarios that you will find in the big box stores, at least within the first couple shelves that you run into. So
yeah,
that's a real thing, and a real thing to watch out for that is not well known. So do your research.
The more you know. Well, speaking of knowing more, the more you know. I think we kind of summed it up of what a renovation is and what you should kind of look for. But let's do another episode or two. Let's go into the full details of a full renovation and what us DIYers are going to need to be able to complete that. And maybe we'll do another one on a partial renovation. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, follow along with us, and get ready for an awesome fall, because we're going to be hitting lots of topics, and we're going to get you prepared to have an incredibly gorgeous lawn that everyone else is going to want. As for me, Vince, and Chris, we'll see you the next time. We'll see
Bye-bye.
We'll see you in the next time.
Whatever he said.
Yeah.
That works.
It works.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Later.
Have a good one. Enjoy the mow. Bye.